It's me, Sean Capri. I'm glad you're here because you're listening to the most horse-powerful podcast on the internet. It's the Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Ryan Turford. He's the weatherman on the Moose, and on our journey today, the FTC won't let me be, so let's just buy Activision and get rid of all this trial stuff. Who even knows? We're not lawyers, so let's jump on into the Xbox Drive. Ball!
No power greater than X.
Hello, Sean Capri.
Hi, Ryan Turford. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to see you today.
It's good to see you too. The weather's really great because it's not raining anymore. Because
We are robots. We're talking like robots. Oh, Ryan, what a week. What a week it has been. We angered all Mario fans last night on the Nintendo Drive. We welcome back Dr. Bland to the RPG Cave over on the RPG Cave, that show that you do with him. The PlayStation Drive had Court and Matt on it, of course, and here we are. The final say of the week, you might say, actually.
We'll see. There are more videos coming to the channel this week, Sean.
Ooh, tease. I like it.
As an example, we are coming close to the end of the month, which means it's actually going to be Pit Stop Retro Gaming time.
I like it.
Pretty soon. So look out for that. And then
I will.
I have another unboxing video coming this week. And then I'm playing a game that we'll talk about in a second in the playlist that might have a video soon.
Nice.
Well.
What are you unboxing? What is happening here?
Oh no! So every month I've been doing this retro gaming subscription box which the community really enjoyed.
Right.
And they told me to keep doing it because I was like, oh, we're gonna do this on a 3-month trial, and if you guys like this, tell me, and we'll keep doing it. And overwhelmingly, Sean, I got lots of comments from Nagachaka and some others saying, please continue to do this.
I love it,
to the point where I reached peak influencer status, Sean.
Yes,
with this box because other people in the community have also signed up for this service and are
I
also getting retro gaming boxes as well.
I like it. That's sweet, man. That's very nice.
The best part about it, Sean, the last month's unboxing, I got a copy of Super Mario Brothers 3 in the box.
What?
We talked about it last night. Which you talked about last night. So there you go.
Yes, we did. I thought you said like you and I talked about you getting Mario 3. I'm like, this did not come up in conversation between you and I.
No. That,
gotcha.
I mean, because I was, if I would have been on the show with you and Seth last night, I would have pulled out my Japanese copy of Mario 3 and my North American copy of Mario 3 because I have
very cool.
Like, because it's so good. A game's so good, Sean. It's worth owning twice.
It really is. Some might say you could own it 14 different times. Really, with all the virtual stores and virtual what are we even talking about right now? Right, this is the Xbox Drive. What happened? What did you do to me?
I forgot that to tell you that it's not raining anymore. It's a smooth, like mild 22 degrees.
How many episodes of Toronto we can cancel all of this? We can just be done with this.
It's fine. This is the craziness that people expect.
This is 297. Is that where we're at? 297 episodes of this madness.
3 more away from 3.
Oh my goodness gracious!
We
have plans.
3 episodes, 300.
We have plans for 300. Man, you guys aren't ready for episode 300. I'll tell you that much. You got to warm up. You got to loosen up. You got to stretch for episode 300.
Some might say we're not even ready for episode 300 yet.
I think we're ready. I think we're great. We got things to unveil.
These are not ready for episode 300.
We're good. We're gonna be fine. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. So let's segue into, of course, cleaning the garage. So, folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of awesome ways to do that. Number one, if you're watching the live stream right now, right, youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching the video on demand later, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and then hit that notification bell to be notified whenever we go live with new videos or whenever we put up cool stuff on the channel. Or, of course, let us know in the comments what you think about Barbie coming to Forza Horizon 5 and all these Barbie crossovers we're getting with Xbox, because we'd love to hear from you. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already, and also rate us if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And last but not least, if you want the audio for the show a little bit early, or one big long audio feed for all the carpool gaming goodness rather than subscribing to a whole bunch of other stuff, or some exclusive content. Exclusive. You can head on over to our patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Throw a little tip in the old tip jar, just like Awesome Dave 1337 for upgrading to gold. Thank you so much to Awesome Dave. Also, Sean H for joining us at that exclusive tier. Exclusive. And then I saved the best for last, Sean, because Trucker Sloth back as an ultimate producer. Huge thank you to all of our patrons, of course.
Keeping the boat afloat, my friends. This all falls apart without you guys. That is incredible. What a week on Patreon. Goodness gracious. That's incredible. Ryan, thank you to Trucker Sloth. Thank you to Sean. And thank you to Awesome Dave, who just had a baby and a haircut. Like, he's just like making moves, my friend. He's having quite the year. Holy cow. The year of Awesome Dave. Ryan, I went to carpoolgaming.com and I got myself a big old mug. I think this is 15, 16 ounces. It got our little Bobby on front. And I'm drinking my fresh cup of coffee. This is as hot as it gets. That is tolerable for my face.
We actually talked about the coffee mug on the RPG Cave because Garrett was wondering about it because he knew our mug was smaller before.
Yes.
I told him about the bigger mug. He became more intrigued, Sean.
Yes, Mug XL, if you like, right? This is the Series XL mug that we have now. I heard you guys talking about that. It was great to hear Garrett back on the show. You guys are just and episode 99. Next week, episode 300 for this show in a couple of weeks. We just did 100s of the PlayStation Drive and the Nintendo Drive. Like 2023, I know we've been saying there's lots of games coming out, but like, come on, guys. Like we've been making moves over here in Carpool Gaming as well. We're making like California lane changes. We're double clutching like we should. You know, all that stuff. We're living our life a quarter mile at a time, Ryan.
Absolutely, Sean. So
it's all about family.
It is all about family. And I just want to pitch something because this just came to mind. And this is $1 million idea, Sean, right here. And I don't want it to escape into the ether. So
capture it here.
This. So when you were talking about the Carpool Gaming mug, one thing that comes to mind is that I love pint glasses like this one that have cool art on them.
Oh, and
I would love one day, if we could somehow make it happen, a Carpool Gaming pint glass like this.
I like that idea very much.
Super cool. Because I love using pint glasses to drink water or whatever I feel like drinking. And I feel like having a little Bobby here instead of this picture of Captain Marvel on it would be really cool.
That'd be pretty sweet. I like that you leave it to the imagination of the other types of things that you drink out of cups and mugs and whatnot.
Look, I don't want to go into details about it.
Hey man,
I would rather go into details about the weather because
I'm here for you to you do you.
Yeah. Exactly.
I like it. Well, some of us are just putting God knows what into our coffee. So who knows, man? It's not like Xbox is trying to buy Activision and everybody's talking about it on the internet and we're going to delay that. Okay. Like just like we do on the Nintendo Drive, we'll talk about it later. Look, the thumbnail for the show is Barbie. It's the pinkest thumbnail we've ever had. Yep. And I love it so much, dude.
I had to make sure that that's what we do.
We stand out.
Yeah, for sure. Like when people zig, Sean, we tend to zag on this show. That's usually how
we zag.
Yes, absolutely. So let's grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It's time for the playlist because we're not even talking about Activision right now.
No, definitely not. Absolutely not.
Because we are in 2023, the year of our Lord, where of course we're talking about the one of the best years in video games by talking about the games we're playing. And Sean, tell me about the game you're playing now, which didn't come out this year.
Yeah, definitely playing current video games, Ryan. Let me tell you about the latest, greatest video game available on your Xbox console. It's called BioShock. Published by 2K Games, I think in 2007 or something like that.
By this, Sean.
Oh my goodness. I'm about halfway through. We're tracking down Andrew Ryan.
Nice.
And I don't want to spoil anything, but Andrew Ryan's going to get his comeuppance, if you know what I'm saying.
Will he? I don't know.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe I don't know. I'm saving the little sisters, Ryan. I'm tracking down all the big daddies. Well, this time I've done it. I think this might be this now, and it doesn't take a lot for this to happen. This might be my most replayed game. It's up there. It's in rare form, and it's like 3 or 4 times. Honestly, I think like I don't typically play or replay a lot of games these days, but it's a pleasure to be going back. We're doing it for the Backtrackers. It's the Video Game Book Club within the Discord, free to join. Of course, we would love more and more people to be joining us here. I will be there. It's not recorded, by the way. I don't know if we've ever really said that. Like it's just a hangout. It's not published or produced. It's not something we capture anywhere. At least I don't think it's happening. Maybe Awesome Dave is secretly recording it.
Someone in there is just recording it themselves. But when like Seth or you are in there, like we don't do that.
It's not for content, which is very sweet. And shout out to Delroy and Marcus for leading that. I don't remember who ended up choosing the game. This might have been Awesome Dave, actually, if I remember. I don't even know. So we're playing BioShock. I'm halfway through. Glad to be playing it. I thought I was just going to rifle through this, Ryan, just like, go mission to mission. But no. I'm getting every little sister, every secret, every room, every nook and cranny, and I just love it. I love it so much. And if people are listening and they're doing the bag trackers, I need to speak to a few people here, Ryan. I'm gonna not name names, but some people have said that they are not enjoying BioShock, and I won't have it. And I have a feeling that they're not saving or harvesting all the little sisters. I think they're taking shortcuts. I think I'm just calling people out here.
Of course you are a little bit, Sean.
I don't think you're doing all your research. Okay. You need to be taking pictures of all the different splicers, all the cameras, all the turrets, anything that moves in this game. Take pictures of it and take like 3, just even though you get a lower score or whatever, just keep doing. These are pro tips from me. Current game BioShock for the Xbox 360. Yeah. Harvesting little sisters. What kind of game is this?
360.
What?
Though. You're playing on current consoles.
Yeah, it's a remaster, and that's what I wanted to mention to you. It does look great. It has crashed on me like 5 times, dude.
Ooh, that's not good.
So I'm saving often, but that's been part of my experience, unfortunately, which seems to be new with this remastered version. I don't remember that being a thing back in the day. But yeah, this game it's special storytelling. It's a wonderful setting, of course. I'm not saying anything new, but BioShock rules, and anybody who thinks otherwise is just wrong.
I don't know. You're kind of shocking Save the Game Media in the chat who was shocked when you said this game is about harvesting little sisters.
I'm rescuing the little sisters. You can harvest them, which I guess just kills them, and you get the goodness in them, the atom. Yeah, you get the juice. From them. Yeah, it's interesting. And there's the director's commentary in this remastered, which is also interesting to go back to and watch. Ken Levine and dude on his left. I don't remember his name. Jeff Keighley does it. Jeff Keighley is interviewing him during some of this stuff. I thought it was going to be like commentary, like it would just play through like audio kind of just over what you're playing, but it jumps over to a whole like pretty decent like 10-12 minute videos in some cases.
Okay.
But yeah, BioShock rules. It's good to go back. I'll get to new games eventually here, Ryan. Who knows?
One day, Sean, new games will release. And you'll be able to play new games.
Starfield might be the next new game that I play.
Yeah. Well, we actually have a question about that later in the show, so I'll save that.
Okay. We'll pin it. Pin it for later.
As for me, Sean, my Xbox has not been turned on this week because, unfortunately, if your game doesn't star a handsome fellow named Klaus Ridefield or a best boy Torgal, who's a very cute dog, and your game isn't called Final Fantasy 16, I'm probably not playing your game this week. Because
Ryan, I have a question before you jump into things.
Of course.
I have a question for you on this game. These accents, Ryan, What about that's my question.
What about them? They're fine.
Are they fine? I feel like I was watching some gameplay of this and I just don't know if I can handle, like, nothing against accents. Like, hopefully I don't want people to, misunderstand, right. But the voice acting, I think I would switch it over to Japanese from what I've seen. I'd switch it to just straight, even though they're telling Japanese players to listen to it in English and do Japanese subtitles, I guess. But I don't know if I can handle that voice acting of the main character there, Ryan. It's a little much. It's almost like Days Gone. What's going on with PlayStation and all these?
He's angry, Sean, all the time.
Oh, man.
He's Clive. The world is against him.
Thank you for saying it. That's what I meant. Yes.
But at the same time, I actually like the voices. But I know that there are some, voices that are not amazing. But for the most part, I think for the most part that they're really, especially like there's a standout that everyone's kind of loving in the beginning of the game. Sid, the new Sid in this game.
Of course.
He's also the same voice actor as Lorath from Diablo 4 as well. So he's kind of had like a standout month because people liked him in Diablo 4 and now they like him in Final Fantasy 16. But
just a likable guy.
Yeah. But I'm also more used to the accents here because we had the exact same kind of thing happen with Final Fantasy 14's voice acting, where in fact there's actually a lot of voice actors that cross over between those games, and it's in a similar style as well as far as like the different European dialects is what you're kind of getting here. So I actually really like the voice acting in 16, but I think I'm also kind of just used to it from 14. But I mean, I'm not going to talk too much about Final Fantasy 16. I'm basically, Sean, at this point, I'm pretty much at the end of the game. Where I'm on like the last mission where it's like, if you accept this mission, you like, there's no going back kind of.
Oh, you've seen that.
I've been given that warning. So,
hasn't the game been out for like a week?
Not even a week. It came out.
It's a Final Fantasy game. Shouldn't you be playing this for like months?
I'm 40 hours into the game, Sean.
Do we need to start telling you to get a job?
Maybe. You probably should at some
Good
point.
for you, man. No, that sounds like you're really liking it, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, I have a lot more to say, but because this is an Xbox show, and combined with the fact that I have a review where I'm gonna do like a bigger discussion about this, and then we're gonna probably do a review discussion later with a lot of the other folks at Carpool Gaming, because a lot of us are playing it.
Everyone's playing it. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about it here, but Sony paid to have it skip Xbox, Ryan.
There is that. I am a little upset about that still. And in fact, the gamers are upset about it. There's like this whole thing
capital G
at the moment, which is awful. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. I had mixed thoughts about it at first, but as I progressed through the game, I've liked it more and more the more I've played it, to the point where now I'm just like, I need to know how this ends at this point. And also, it's one of those games too that has like some of the best boss fights in any video game I've ever played.
Oh, I love that. See, you do such a good job of that. Like, I don't think I've heard anybody say that yet. Like, not even like mentioning. I'm glad we took care of the voice acting and we took care of the boss battles. Like, I don't know. There's so many conversations about like, is it RPG, blah, blah. Like, and I know that happened on the RPG Cave. Look, save those conversations for Super Mario RPG. It's in the title. And I asked the question on the RPG Cave, what kind of choices are you making? Like, what is role playing as Mario like? Like, that's not Mario RPG.
I mean, I'll tell you this: in Final Fantasy 16, you make more choices than you do in Mario RPG,
and it's in the title. It's not Final Fantasy RPG. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
exactly. There, point made.
My God.
Checkmate.
I'm glad you almost forgot, Sean, the other conversation we had on RPG Cave about whether corn dogs are actually hot dogs or not, which is also a fun conversation.
That was, we don't need to be having these. We're just shutting down these, our hot dog sandwiches, or I don't even know what else. Like, it's a brand of question that I won't allow anymore.
Well,
okay?
I mean, it's the type of question where it's like, are corn dogs part of the beef Wellington family, or are they hot dogs? And I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, moving on.
I mean, I'm also using this to delay having to talk about Activision.
Absolutely. We're not talking about FTC stuff. Definitely not. Yeah. Even though Satya Nadella is about to take the stand like any moment now, we won't be able to report on it, I don't think.
No, for sure. There's going to be like, we're going to be talking about everything that we know kind of up to today at this point, Wednesday, the day that we're recording this, but we're not there yet, Sean. And
not there yet.
Likewise, I'm now kind of like, I'm taking applications from other games at this point for games to play after Final Fantasy 16. This way, interviews will be happening this week, Sean.
Yes.
I will be figuring out what to play next.
2 rounds of interviews at the least. You got to call for references, man. Do a criminal record check on some of these games. I love it.
Maybe I'll talk about that more when we get to Kevin's question later in the show.
Okay, can we make that a thing though? Like, let's have people like represent certain games and have you like interview them one after another.
Sure, we can.
I think that would be amazing. That's a new take on the whole like tournament bracket committed relationship thing.
I will tell you, and this is no fault of anyone except for Lockleth, but Lockleth has actually inspired me at some point to really go back to this Atari Jaguar library. Wow. So that might actually end up being next, is playing a bunch of old Atari Jaguar games.
Oh, but I want the interviews. We can dress up like Step Brothers.
Do the interviews, Sean.
Do the tuxedos.
If anything, we can have people dress in tuxedos and wear Jaguar masks to represent the different Jaguar games.
Oh, that'd be so fun, dude. Just because like we wouldn't know what questions you'd be coming to ask. We'd like it'd be Jaguar. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
That's actually like a good like video, like funny video idea, Sean. If we had like
might be our best yet
video where it's people interviewing to be my next game played. So
I like it.
I like the fact that we're exploring our creative juices on this show, because I'm slamming the brakes on this conversation.
No, but the juices were happening.
We're getting there in a second, because it's time for some breaking news. Because Sean, the ultimate crossover has arrived. It is time to talk about this. The big news of the week is here. Barbie the movie is crossing over with Xbox. So Barbie has an in-game crossover with Forza Horizon 5, allowing you to get Barbie's 1956 Chevrolet convertible and Ken's 2022 GMC Hummer pickup. Additionally, there's a line of Xbox branded Barbies in case you're a person who collects Barbies. And Sean, I don't know if you saw this, and if you scroll down and you'll actually see a picture of this. There is a Barbie themed Xbox Series S that is currently up for giveaway. and I totally want it.
Okay, that's actually like an amazing pink that they've got on this thing. That's incredible. Cool that oh my gosh. Didn't know I wanted this. Holy cow.
And look at those controller faceplates.
Yeah, like faceplates.
Pretty cool too. I almost wish those were in Design Lab. Like if you do Design Lab with the Barbie controller design, like some of those look pretty cool.
Give us Design Labs on the consoles, man.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you could just design your own Like, I think that would be incredible.
Like they should be selling that. Like people would buy that Barbie console. You know they would.
There's something really about this Barbie movie, man. I think it's Ryan Gosling's just kind of like whatever take on Ken. Like he's got some sort of mystery about Ken and his story. Like why do I care about this? But here we are, man.
Look, the Ken doll, he's fine. He exists. He has his own story.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so what do you think, Sean, about Barbie crossing over? Because I think I really kind of miss Xbox doing stuff like this, because this reminds me, Sean, of, and tell me if you remember this, from Forza Horizon 2, the Fast and the Furious crossover that they did.
Exactly the same thing. Yeah, like, definitely.
It's not exactly the same thing, because they had like missions with Ludacris in Forza Horizon 2 as part of that promotion. And I want to see Xbox get more wild and do more stuff like this. We talked about this with the Space Jam controllers as well. Like I want to see them partner with more brands and do more stuff like this. I think this stuff's pretty cool.
I'm totally down, man. This is awesome. I mean, like, it's not kind of a weird fit, with Forza Horizon, but like, why not? And they've already like smashed the boundaries on what is possible. As soon as they put like the Warthog in there and all these other weird things, like you can do whatever you want in this. So I'm down for it. It's weird. I love still seeing Forza Horizon like in the news, like it's still as active as ever. I know people talk about Sea of Thieves as the model for a game as Surface, but like this is pretty good too, dude. Like Forza Horizon, I know I say that all the time, and I know that we're the Xbox Drive, so of course we're talking about cars. But here we are. Who knew? Barbie. Who knew? It's in the thumbnail.
Not only that, but it actually, now that I think about it and we talk about it out loud, this actually thematically makes sense for Forza Horizon, because all the brands they've crossed over with have been toy brands. So Hot Wheels, Lego,
interesting.
Barbie, all their crossovers, other than Fast and Furious for Horizon 2, have all been with toy brands, which is cool. So just
I like it.
The toy box. So you could in theory drive around your Barbie car in like the Hot Wheels land, and it'll feel like a toy. You're driving like a Barbie toy car.
So good. So good. I'm glad we covered it. I'm glad people are aware of this, Ryan. Top news story, thumbnail.
100%. Thumbnail worthy, Sean.
Nobody's listening to our show this week.
Look, Sean,
everybody's listening to the actual coverage.
I was very tempted on the thumbnail to make it a Final Fantasy 16 thumbnail instead.
Oh man, yeah. Let's just keep. Yeah, we'll zag real hard on this stuff, man. Holy cow!
I mean, any excuse, Sean did not have to put the FTC versus Xbox trial on the thumbnail for us.
I mean, we could have had something like Satya Nadella and Jim Ryan with like flaming hair and like fire in their eyes, some sort of like Mortal Kombat like face off kind of thing. That'd be fun.
Or
maybe next
time.
Just
Phil Spencer in the smug suit with the smug look he had on his face the other day. That the picture they took of him outside the courtroom.
Definitely. He wasn't even there. Well, Jim Ryan.
No, Phil Spencer.
Oh, Phil. Oh, is that real? Was that a real picture?
That was a real picture of him in that suit. Yeah.
I thought it was a fake picture. That was, oh, wow. Okay.
No.
Interesting.
You thought it kind of looked like it might have been fake, but no, that was a real photo outside the courtroom with that
super
look
smug.
His real look. It's
so good. My gosh. Yeah. It was the same thing with Craig from Halo Infinite. I thought it was something somebody had made up, but realizing that was real, it's like, oh no, it's so much worse. Holy cow.
No, yeah, exactly. Well, since we've kind of like crossed that
I guess
so we've made a rule on the show, Sean, for those who are new listeners to the Xbox Drive. If you just click because of Barbie this week and you were interested because of it, you're new to the show. We made a rule on the show where we wouldn't talk about the Activision Blizzard situation unless we received substantial details where we couldn't ignore them.
We certainly weren't going to. Here's what we really did is we heard all the other Xbox podcasts say like, I guess we got to talk about that Activision thing again. And they just felt like, I don't know, obliged in some way. And they didn't want to do it. And we just chose, look, we're not going to do it. It seems like nobody wants to, anytime anybody brings it up, it's like, I can't believe this thing again. So we just didn't do it. But this is kind of a big deal, Ryan. And we were talking offline just before, like we could know the path of this within the next week or so. Like we're actually nearing the end for all intents and purposes and everything that we could see.
Thank God, because honestly, I just want this to be over. Whether it's one way or the other at this point.
But is it
I'm
really
ready.
like weighing on your existence? Like when, like I don't know. Like I think it's
Oh,
interesting,
no,
and
it's
I
not
don't
weighing
know.
on my existence, but it's more along the lines of this way we never have to worry about talking about this subject ever again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get that feeling about, like, I don't know. There's just a lot of like drama around it. Like, oh, talking about it is just I don't know. I don't get it. But anyways, we can.
Well, Sean, I'm just evoking my inner Clive Rossfield
Oh
and really
yes.
angry at the world.
Can you
Okay?
imagine? That would hurt to do for hours on end. Yeah.
I know. But anyways, the FTC versus Xbox trial is happening at the moment. The FTC had to kind of move up this trial ahead of the closing date in mid-July, just to make sure that they could kind of try and block the deal. So that's why the trial's happening now, and this is why, as Sean kind of alluded to, why this will kind of determine the fate of this, and we should know by next week whether or not this is actually probably going to actually happen or not. So but we're not going to talk about the trial itself, because we're still like, since we don't know the result of the trial at this point, it's pretty hard to talk about, the how this turns out. But we're going to talk about some of the interesting tidbits of information that we've gotten out of the trial.
There are many.
We knew that this was going to happen, and we're again not going to cover everything that's come out, because in fact we've actually linked in. I'll make sure to put this actually in the description of the video later after we're done the show. But GameIndustry.biz actually did a great run-up article of everything we've learned from the trial, and they're updating it as like throughout the day, like until the trial's over. Basically the same articles continuously being updated. So if anyone wants to learn more information, that's like a great source to, if you want to learn more about the
big time,
like 100 plus things we learned during the trial going forward. But but I wanted to touch on some of the highlights here. So first, and I thought this one was really interesting. When Microsoft learned that Starfield was about to be signed as a PlayStation 5 exclusive after the deals for Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo surfaced, that's when Microsoft decided to buy Bethesda, because they're like, we're not going to negotiate a deal with Bethesda to, just get them to still release on our platform. We'll just buy them so we don't have to worry about this problem, which I thought was like an interesting part of this. Because Phil Spencer talked about this on the stand, where that was the reason they bought Bethesda in the first place, was because of Starfield. Because they
isn't that fascinating?
Yeah,
like I don't know how else to describe it, but like that makes so much sense, because outside of that, it seemed like everything that we had been talking about ever since that became news to us was, oh, look at this new vision that they've got, and they want Game Pass to be a thing, and they've got this vision for 3 billion people. It's like, or it could be prompted by this pretty significant move that it looked like this game and maybe even series of games, because did you mention too, like Deathloop and Ghostwire, they were like, that was secured and they were trying to close in on Starfield. Like, their hand was kind of forced in this way to react in a way that was maybe special, and only Microsoft could dig deep into the pockets and go, no, we're just going to end this right here and right now. So the whole commentary and conversation around exclusives, I think, changes with this, because if we weren't here, if we weren't where Microsoft is buying up these publishers and developers, then Sony would just run unchecked. And then it would be interesting to hear the conversation on exclusivity and who's being fair and blah blah blah. It would, like, they would have just run away with it. I think like this definitely changed the narrative and changed the direction. But man, Starfield as a PS5 exclusive really could have been a thing. And
this actually like makes a lot of sense when I read off this next point, Sean, which is Call of Duty almost became a console exclusive to PlayStation unless Microsoft offered Activision a special deal, giving them a higher revenue split than the normal model for other publishers. So on Call of Duty, we found out that Activision makes 80-20 on Call of Duty, whereas the normal revenue split between Microsoft and the game publisher is 70-30. But because Xbox had like the lowest percentage of users for Call of Duty, Activision used that as leverage to negotiate a better deal. And I imagine that's something similar to what was happening with Starfield or with Bethesda, where Bethesda knew as a company before Microsoft bought them was hurting financially. So they went to Sony, who had the largest install base, who then offered them this bag of money to keep their games on exclusive on their console, and Call of Duty almost joined them, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. Like that's how bad the Xbox One generation was, I guess, is kind of maybe what I start to extract from this a little bit is they were kind of some of these big publishers were almost done with Xbox.
Yeah.
You know, we talk a lot about the conversation that Phil had with Satya Nadella, and he's wondering why are we even in gaming? Maybe the CEO of Microsoft was shut down Xbox, but like there's this whole other side of the equation where maybe some of the publishers were going to be done with them, and what would gaming be looking like now? You know, like this whole console war thing is a really interesting thing, and I know people like to have fun playing with it, but do you really want just PlayStation and Nintendo? Like, because it sounds like we were that close.
Yeah.
And it explains, I think a lot of people have maybe described this acquisition of Activision as like maybe a desperate move. And it kind of explains it. It kind of makes a little bit more sense when you start to add a few of these items up. And I know like I saw some conversation too about, you know what, I was going to talk about Bobby Kotick. I'm not even going to talk about him because this just toxic.
We're going to leave that conversation kind of out of it.
Never mind.
Because I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But it really puts in perspective why they're buying up companies in the first place. Because because I imagine, you know, these are the ones we're hearing about in the trial. But I imagine there's more companies that kind of fit this description besides just, you know, Activision and Bethesda.
Oh, for sure. Well, we talk about it often, like how many games are announced and are going to go to Switch, PC, and PS5 and not Xbox. Yeah. Like, luckily, I say for us as people who game on Xbox, luckily, most of those aren't enormous games, but Final Fantasy 16 is certainly one of them.
Yeah,
you know,
and announced today 3 million copies for that game, and it's only on PlayStation 5.
That's
no
nuts,
other platform.
Dude.
So that's when you consider the install base of PlayStation 5, that's pretty big. That's a
yeah. So I think that I don't know. Like we're not lawyers. I screamed about it in the intro here as well. But I don't know. I feel like it might be just as a homer take on this. But the purchase of Activision, I don't think swings it into a totally new territory where all of a sudden Xbox is completely on top and just absolutely dominating, like not even close. I don't even know if that happens in the next 10 or 15
he said
years.
That as much in the trial on like under oath. Phil Spencer said that like that's like them buying Activision is not going to suddenly swing them into first place or even out of the bottom of the console race. Of where they are now, like their position will remain the same. Like they talked about how this increases their mobile market percentage from like 3% to 7% even, and mobile was one of the biggest parts of the deal, they said. So like that's still not going to really be, it's going to be a drop in the bucket when you compare to Nintendo or Sony's market share. Although I will say I do love the fact that the FTC is really trying to hammer home that Nintendo is not a company in the console
just
business.
Ridiculous.
When the reason why I love it is because actually if they prove that Nintendo shouldn't be part of this, then that actually makes it so Xbox market share actually looks worse in comparison to PlayStation. Because we saw that chart from the UK that they were using to compare just PlayStation and Xbox, where it was like 20% of this giant, like 80% pie chart for PlayStation. But
I'm starting to get maybe what you were talking about before. It's like, let's just make a decision on this. Cause I don't know. It does seem it's day to day. Like we are in day 3, I think, as we record this. And it does seem like day 1 seemed like obvious Xbox was going to win this over. And then day 2, maybe it was a little bit more questionable. So who knows, but and we're cherry picking the bullet points that we're talking about here today. So maybe just making it more look like a win or should be happening for Xbox. But I have to tell you, dude, like I would love Diablo 4 to be on Game Pass. Like I just straight up, that would be amazing. And how many of us just paid for Diablo 4? Wouldn't it have been nice to just have it included in Game Pass?
That's the type of game that should be on a subscription service like Game Pass.
Agreed.
Because I think the games that always thrive the best on Game Pass are ones where you play with your friends, like games like that. So just like I would be, even though I'm someone who does pay for a World of Warcraft subscription, Sean, I would love it if they rolled that into Xbox.
Can you imagine?
Just that subscription, kind of like what they do with EA Play. Although I saw articles come out last week, Sean, with which I don't know if I even want to go down this road, where Need for Speed came to Game Pass, and a lot of people were writing articles saying, how dare they lock this behind the EA Play part of the subscription for Game Pass. I'm just like, but that's the whole reason it's there, because
no kidding.
it makes me shake my head at something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
That's a lot of, and that's actually why we haven't really been covering a lot of this, is because it just brings up all this nonsense.
Oh, for sure. And also, again, to keep in mind, we're having this conversation not to talk about, what we want to see happen, whether we're trying to give Xbox the win or trying to get the FTC the win. Is really more of the interesting tidbits that come out of this more than.
Oh yeah, dude, I can't wait for the PlayStation Drive to cover it. Did you see I think they just released some of the documents from PlayStation, and they tried to redact it, but it's just with like a marker, and you can see through the marker, like you can see the numbers that they're hiding, like how much these games cost to develop and how long they're in development for, and all these other things. Like amateur hour. Like, come on, man. Holy cow. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on, Sean.
All right.
Because we got to talk about this list, because a list was revealed during the trial, indicating that Microsoft had a list of over 100 companies they considered acquiring over the past few years. This list includes Sega, Bungie, CD Projekt Red, From Software, IO Interactive, Housemarque, and many
Housemarque
more. How crazy it would have been actually if they acquired either Housemarque or Bungie before, like instead of PlayStation.
Bungie, I think, would have made sense. I think we were calling for Bungie before that happened, and of course, everybody's like they want to be independent, and the next day Sony buys them. But I feel like that still would have made sense in a way. It's very interesting too. Like I feel like we're living in a parallel universe where in ours Bungie is with Sony, but in the other they came back to Xbox. Yeah. But yeah, man, like, the thing here that I don't know if I have enough detail on this, like, did they just make a list and prioritize all of them? When they say there is a list of targets, like if you were, and we talked about this when it was first announced, if you have Activision Blizzard King on your list for $69 billion, then everything is on the table. Like, why would you not look at absolutely everything? And pretty much that confirms all the speculation that we've done and all the podcasts and commentators have done over the last years, like, has been true. I think Jeff Grubb was talking, I think it was the Bungie one, or maybe there's a few others. He's like, yeah, see, totally was right about this. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's also kind of, I was thinking about this morning. I don't know what the word is, but it's kind of weird just to have them go like, which one will we buy? Like that these, these companies that are representative in some cases of some of the most important video games in history. They're just like, which one do we want? They're just kind of flipping through, just moving chess pieces around,
flipping through the Sears wish book that we would have had as children.
Absolutely. Totally. Yeah. What a great visual. That's exactly it. Yes. Yeah. So weird.
So I have a question for you, Sean, and this is a fun question. I promise. What are the chances that they did their own internal tournament bracket to figure out which company to buy?
I think pretty high. I think they
that's how they landed on Activision, right? They did a tournament bracket. It was like them and Sega in the finals, and I guess Activision won the tournament bracket.
That's really funny, dude. Yes, of course. Well, I mean, it gives a lot of fodder, and maybe that's something else we do at another point in time for just like, what would it be like if, like, what if they bought CD Projekt Red? What would it be like? Sega, I think, is something we've talked about quite a lot. So not really that surprising to see here as well. IO Interactive.
From Software? Imagine From Software.
Oh my gosh.
Xbox. How weird would that be?
Some of these would be, people would just completely lose their minds about probably Housemarque, probably to a certain extent CD Projekt. I could see IO Interactive happening and people being kind of somewhat okay with it.
Yeah. Well, we know actually they're publishing one of IO's upcoming games, the Project Dragon that they're working on.
Right. Yeah.
The game they're not working on. That's not the James Bond game. It's the other one.
Right.
But they also mentioned too in some of the trial documents, like they were planning to put a serious bid in for Sega. And in those documents, they mentioned there that all of the Sega games would have still remained cross-platform on all the places they would have been already at this point. It just would have actually meant we would have gotten, a game like Sakura Wars, as an example, the action RPG that came out a couple years ago that only came to PlayStation and PC. That would have come to Xbox as well, because Xbox would have owned them, kind of thing.
Do you think that because this list is now outed that's not happening anymore? Is that kind of what's to be gleaned, that these were on? Yeah.
Or I think like any of these larger companies, like I don't think regulators will let them buy another big company at this point. This is something we've talked about before, like when we started hearing rumblings of the CMA or the FTC kind of getting involved with something like this. Like I think that Microsoft is done with larger corporations because I don't know if the regulators will let them buy anything else at this point. As far as larger,
wasn't WB up for sale for $500 million, or was it just the IP? Like, so I think that we have to get a sense of scale here. There might need to be some sort of visual. Millions and billions is 1,000 times different.
Yeah,
it's very, very different. And another note here as well, that Ninja Theory was acquired for $117 million,
which we didn't know before because they didn't even tell us what they were acquired for. But now we finally know the price for them.
Unbelievable, man. Like, so I think when we talk about closing the door on purchasing any other developers, I'm not so sure, because $69,000 million is quite different from 117.
That's what I mean. Like, million. I think like the Ninja Theory style companies are more what they'll probably buy if they acquire anything.
Yeah, like IO Interactive, I think maybe is there. Housemarque could be bought, I think, at the time. Like, how much did Sony pay for them?
Not much.
Yeah, like maybe the same.
Insomniac, Sean, I think that Insomniac was only 100 million,
150, something like that. Yeah, like that's, and that along the same lines, kind of a steal. But also, I think explains, we got a glimpse of this during the Xbox showcase or maybe it was the extended one afterwards, how much Ninja Theory has changed. Like, their studios are gigantic, and it's, world-class technology, cutting-edge technology. Whereas before, I think that they were doing the motion capture in a bathroom somewhere. Maybe
they were doing basically the whole like Hellblade 1 just out of a shoebox, basically.
Yeah, I think an IHOP or a Waffle House parking lot, I think, is where most of it happened.
Exactly.
Sounds like
just think of those scenes for those emotional scenes in Hellblade 1, and then realize it was in an IHOP parking lot.
Yeah.
I mean, because again, the actress from that game isn't even an actress. She was one of the editors, like the video editors.
I love it. What a story. What a story for that. But yeah, it definitely explains. I think maybe that alone, sometimes the simplest explanation is the right one. Yeah. But like, why that game is taking so long, like, they've ramped up, dude. And they've got these huge expectations. Very few people remember where they came from and how small the first game is.
Not just one either.
Yeah.
You have I think it's Project Mara is the other one as well, which is in development by them too. So
totally fascinating.
Well, yeah. Sean, it's time to talk about your favorite subject, Jim Ryan.
Jim Ryan. Yeah.
Jim Ryan took the stand. But what was interesting about Jim Ryan's thing that we knew about, because he actually made 2 pre-recorded statements that were not made publicly available, so we don't know the contents of what happened there. But Jim Ryan actually took the stand yesterday to talk about the deal, and he admitted under oath he doesn't actually see Call of Duty ever leaving PlayStation, nor does he actually view Starfield or Redfall's exclusivity as anti-competitive, as much as he admits that he doesn't like it. Because his statement was, we don't find that they're anti-competitive. I just don't like that they did that. Which is,
of course he has to say that's the only thing he can possibly say on that, because if he said anything that even came close to those games being exclusive as being anti-competitive, then his entire business is anti-competitive. Yeah. Like he it's an interesting kind of point. And from there, it almost, I don't know about you, I feel, and again, not a lawyer, but does that disqualify anything else from really consideration? Because isn't this whole thing about anti-competitiveness?
It's kind of the opposite to what he was talking about, where he was talking about if they made Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox, it would be anti-competitive. But what's the difference between making Call of Duty exclusive and making Starfield exclusive?
Right.
Yeah. Like that, like it's apples to apples comparison. Like, I think the only way you could argue against that is if you somehow qualified Call of Duty as a game too big to be an exclusive to one platform, which I guess is their central argument.
I guess
he also went on to say that the main reason he was so against the deal, because he actually admitted that he was actually on board with the deal when Phil and Xbox first told them about it. Mm-hmm. But he received a email later, and his worry is actually that the game will come to PlayStation still, but it'll be optimized to run better on Xbox than it will on PlayStation, thus getting people to go switch to Xbox instead of PlayStation.
Well, of course it will if he doesn't send them dev kits.
Yeah, that is something they did talk about, because Phil was being pressed as to why there wasn't a PS5 version of Minecraft, and Phil was like, we didn't get the dev kits because Sony didn't want to share them with us.
Right,
so we didn't make a PS5 version at this.
Yeah,
point.
Which, you know, is interesting about this, Ryan, too, is when you look on the flip side, I'm trying to think of how this would have worked. When was MLB The Show released on Xbox for the first time? Like, was it in the first year of Xbox Series X? Because I think it was.
2021, so yes.
Yeah, just after like the first possible MLB The Show was there. So did PlayStation have Xbox dev kits?
They would have had to, because that's a
Early?
PlayStation studio that makes that game.
And like, I know it's all about timing, and of course you don't want to be able to give away the specs for your next gen console. At a certain point, that probably becomes okay. You imagine that you could disclose because the competition's console is probably being assembled at that moment. But I thought that was kind of interesting, and a lot of, I don't know, maybe we're just getting sound bites from this. Of course, we're not hearing the entire testimonial, but just overall, a lot of these takes are very simplistic. But that's the nature of court hearings. Like you're trying to make a point. You're not being like you're not exploring the space. You're not talking about how you've made all the considerations. You're just trying to make a point.
No, and Phil, and I know Jim had more to say about this. Again, we were just reading the point from the news article, since we weren't listening.
It's fascinating. Yeah, I don't know if anything that he's saying here really has like weighs it down at all.
If anything,
could be other
I feel
things.
like this actually better favors the argument for Microsoft.
It could,
because it sounds like he doesn't. It sounds like he almost doesn't care, or doesn't feel like it's anti-competitive himself from the PlayStation perspective.
I think the 100 companies that is on like the grocery list is maybe the most. It's kind of damning, I would say, because then you're worried about precedent. So if you allow this, why wouldn't you allow anything smaller? There's nothing bigger. So if you allow the biggest, like at what point does the threshold kick in? And you go like, hang on a second, no more Microsoft. That's enough buying from you. Yeah. But I could see them still doing that, honestly. But to me, like that's a personal thing. I don't know. That jumps out to me as the biggest deal out of all of this. Is just they're really eyeing quite a big chunk of the industry here, and I think that's interesting.
Sure, but I imagine that Sony probably has a list like that, and Nintendo might have a list like that too, of developers that they would be looking to acquire or deal like. Because there's probably like Nintendo? A scouting report like at these other companies too.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I don't know why Nintendo doesn't do that.
Probably has that. Where even though Nintendo doesn't buy a lot of companies,
but they're cash rich. Like the strategy here for Microsoft is just to like turn their liquid cash into an asset that generates value for them better than holding on to the cash. And Nintendo is very much like that. They're sitting on a bunch of dollar coins, a bunch of loonies in their pool.
Yeah. Well, and actually, speaking of Nintendo, I didn't have this written down, but this actually came out today when Bobby Kotick was on the stand. He actually talked about Nintendo and why Call of Duty is not on Switch, where they actually thought that the Switch wasn't going to be a success, so they didn't bother putting Call of Duty there, and that was a mistake. Like he admitted that if they could do things over again, if they knew what the Switch was going to turn into, they would have put a version of Call of Duty like every single year on
totally.
Switch.
Which is fascinating because I think that also speaks to the timeline associated with producing one of those games and when those decisions have to be made. Like you probably do have to get the pipeline in order from the start. Because the question that jumps to my mind is, why didn't you just start making Call of Duty games once you saw that this thing was a big success? But I think it has more to do with like, how do you ramp up production for a whole console?
Like, let's say it took them a year and a half to figure out the Switch was actually a success, and it takes 3 to 4 years at least to develop a game. Like by that point, your first Call of Duty launches towards the end of the Switch life cycle.
Yep.
At that point, and at that point, you're like, well, we may as well wait for the Switch successor. Then at that point, it's going to be the argument you make there.
Yeah, interesting. Like full truth, though. I think he admitted that like it was a mistake. I think or something like that. Like it was a missed call or something like that.
Mistake.
Fascinating
if they could go
stuff.
Back again, they would definitely do it with that knowledge, of course.
Also, he doesn't like Game Pass.
Yep, there's that too.
As it turns out, he does not want games on Game Pass. Yeah, super interesting.
Yeah, which is interesting. But final two things to kind of close this out. Number one, Phil Spencer, when he was on trial, he repeatedly promised under oath, because they kept making him raise his hand to promise this under oath, that yes, Call of Duty will be on all future PlayStations as long as Sony allows them to put the game on the console, which is what we all expected him to say.
But well, I wouldn't have expected that. Like perpetuity, I don't like.
As long as Call of Duty exists, and as long as the PlayStation series of
that's
consoles
too
exist,
open-ended. That's too open. Well, I don't know, man. I don't like that's what this is about, but whatever. What do
No,
I know?
I know, but I'm glad that and it's there to reassure people in case people were thought maybe he was like wink wink. I only said that it's available on PlayStation 5 and not other future PlayStations. And then of course, last thing, of course, closing arguments will be held tomorrow. So Thursday from the date we're recording this. So we should again know, hopefully, as long as there's not like a crazy deliberation process, hopefully by either by Friday or early next week, what the final verdict is going to be on this. But
Yes.
yeah. So those are all the points we kind of wanted to touch. Again, like I said, there's a lot more to this. And there's like gamesindustry.biz did a great article about this, kind of linking all that. So I'll make sure to throw that into the description and the show notes, just so people have a chance to reference that as well, in case you want to learn more. But,
well, one thing, Ryan, I would jump in to say, like, we joke around about us not talking about all the things and not really covering this every single week for the last however many years. Now that we're jumping into the questions, we asked for questions for this week's show.
Yep.
Nothing related to this. Nothing related to this. So, like, I just think that, that we talk about being focused on our community and in line with everything. The community is not asking about FTC stuff. Yep. So 100%. There's that.
Because it's a very stark contrast between that and when we did RPG Cave this week, where we asked for questions, just general RPG questions, and they were all Final Fantasy 16 questions.
Yeah. So it gives you a sense of like, because you can direct the community a little bit. Like, you want to say, like, what do you want to know about FTC, or what should we talk about? We didn't do that. We just left it wide open, and we got these questions, which is awesome. I'm excited to talk about some of these, but this one, Sean, this first one from Nagachaka, normally we wouldn't talk about on the show. Oh,
it's a rumor, but because Nagachaka asked it, we will, of course, indulge Nagachaka. So Nagachaka asked the question: Red Dead Redemption 1 just got a new rating in Korea. Do you think a remaster or remake is coming, or am I just grasping at straws here?
You're not grasping at straws. This is happening. Yeah. Count on it. I definitely think so. These are the types of things that bankroll 2K and Rockstar in between gigantic releases. I think this is absolutely happening, and celebrate everyone. That game is amazing. I'm pumped about it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, Sean. Like, this is the perfect way to kind of bridge the gap between now and Grand Theft Auto 6, because Grand Theft Auto 6 is still, 3 years away probably at this point.
Yeah, who knows?
So this gives them a release from Rockstar between, now and then, because they really haven't released anything except for Red Dead 2, and then of course updates for Grand Theft Auto Online. So I think this is a good move and no brainer. Like, this should have happened a while ago. Like, I'm actually surprised it didn't even happen in the PlayStation 4 era. Or Xbox.
Good call. Yeah, this is an old game, actually. Well, I mean, we got Red Dead 2 in the PS4, Xbox One.
And because we live in Xbox land, Sean, we do have it backwards compatible with enhancements.
Yeah, it actually it's pretty nice.
And the DLC's there. So I mean, in theory, we're not craving in Xbox land a remake or a remaster of it as much as maybe people on other platforms are. But I still think it's a good move regardless.
I feel like that doesn't really mean much in Xbox land, and it's one of the things that I have a bit of a concern, criticism, critique about the Xbox community just in general. Like, we have some things that are amazing over here, and we don't celebrate them, and that's one of those things. The free masters is a big deal. I think it's incredible, and yet we still we apparently rather buy the remasters, which are marginally better.
That's why, like, when the Ninja Gaiden collection came out, Sean, I love Ninja Gaiden. That's one of my favorite series of games. But we already have all those games on backwards compatibility, and turns out the backwards compatible versions were better than what they released with the remaster, anyways.
Yeah.
So I was like, perfect. I'm content with playing the backwards compatible versions. But moving on, if we will allow it, Sean. Nagachaka also has a second question, because since Hoppel gave Nagachaka permission to ask several questions, here are some more questions. Do you think Xbox should release more variations for Series X and Series S now that we're getting the carbon black Series S? Maybe even some sweet limited edition consoles to go alongside big first-party titles like Starfield. We literally talked about that with the Barbie stuff.
Just Barbie.
Like, they should have really, like, I want to see them do more of this stuff, because we get all kinds of cool Xbox designs with these contests that they run. Yeah, but I want to buy some of those, right? Like, I would gladly trade my Series S to get that Barbie Series S. Like how, like that would be super cool. Or some of the other stuff. Like I would love to see them do like a Starfield console.
Isn't it almost like a cheat code if you're selling consoles to like release another same insides, exactly the same console, just with like a pretty outsize and a special color, and people who own one already will find a way to buy a second one. They'll either trade it in or whatever. Like it's a way for Xbox has not done this yet. How have they not made a compelling
have they not
argument?
learned anything from Nintendo? Because
exactly
this is literally what Nintendo does with the Switch OLED or the Switch, where it's
we will buy them.
Yeah.
Give me a Starfield Xbox. I just like, how much did we pay for the watch? Damn it.
That's
you know what I mean? We would have
Yeah.
got a console, man. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. And again, I'd love to see it on Design Labs. I think that would be great, but why not? The one thing that came out of the FTC stuff that may be related to this is just that I guess Microsoft is prioritizing cloud technology and allocating resources over there. So I think that contributed to some of the console shortages, which I think is very interesting, especially considering now where Xbox has landed against PlayStation, where PlayStation is way outselling Xbox Series S and X. And it sounds, even though Xbox Series X was constrained, it sounds like they were just sending all the chipsets over to the blades or over in the cloud stuff that I don't understand really, but seems to make some sense.
Science, Sean. It's science.
Totally science. But yes, give me special edition consoles, especially at that Series S, that impulse price that I would like maybe even just have on my shelf, Ryan.
Absolutely.
How is this not a thing? Oh my god.
I'm actually again very surprised that they didn't go down this road. The only one they've done is that Halo special edition that came out when Halo Infinite came out.
Right.
It's the only one.
Yeah.
And even that wasn't really that different. It had like little stars on it and stuff. But
imagine if you could have you could have your very own Redfall Series X, Ryan.
If only. Only. I mean, they have those controllers. Donnie got some of those controllers. So yeah. But then Sean, last question of the week comes to us from Kevin Ainsworth, aka the Muffin Mon, who asked the question: since July is pretty quiet for game releases and the rest of the year is not, what will you be playing to fill the void until the games come? Backlog games, picking up games on sale. What will we be doing? What is our battle plan? So I actually pulled up, Sean, just because I wanted to, for my own edification, to make sure that Kevin is correct about, July.
Yeah, what is July like?
So here are the games that are coming in July that are notable. So Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie, that's a big release for RPG fans. Of course, not a Sean game, but
you say so.
It's a big game.
On PC, not on Xbox, by the way.
Well, it's on every console except Xbox.
Yeah.
Then Oxenfree 2, Lost Signals, again, every
not
console
on
except Xbox. The big Xbox release, Sean, of July, Exo Primal, because it'll be on Game. By the way, I didn't talk about it last week. I played the Exo Primal beta, and it was pretty good. I actually kind of liked it.
Nice. I'm glad,
like a cheesy movie kind of way. Like I actually thought it was pretty fun. So
nice.
I'm actually kind of excited to play that game on Game Pass. So and of course after that, July 21st is Pikmin 4.
Yep.
On
not on Xbox
launch only. On PC, I'll note that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart comes to PC, which is exciting.
Ooh. Yep.
And then kind of our next big game on Xbox is Double Dragon Gaiden, Rise of the Dragons. This is a new beat 'em up game in the Double Dragon universe. Looks super fun. I'm actually pretty excited about that.
You skipped Remnant 2. How are you skipping Remnant 2? Looks cool. I'm down for Remnant 2.
They're coming out around the same time, Sean. It's fine.
July 25th.
Yeah, and then Disney Illusion Island, which is only on Swatch.
It's not on Xbox.
I know, that's what I mean. So on Xbox, it's going to be a light month, but
I think that's what he meant.
But I also wanted to throw out there, Sean, we don't play games in a vacuum. We're open about the fact that we play games on multiple consoles.
You're right. You're right.
So even though and the question, Kevin's question was more directed to what we're going to do. So that's why I had to make sure to throw that in there. So I mean, there is stuff to play in July, but Kevin's right. It's not overloaded with games because likewise. From there, we don't really have like a ton of big release in August until when I'm looking down here, Immortals of Avium comes out on the 22nd, which is that Magic game. And then like later that week, we're getting Armored Core 6, which is from Software. And then Sea of Stars the following week. So that's kind of when things kind of ramp up as towards like the middle of August. So
Baldur's Gate 3 is not coming to Xbox. Holy crap, dude.
Of course it's not, Sean.
Like, this is what we were just talking about. This is nuts. Seth Sturgill says just play Neon White. Absolutely right. Just play, when in doubt, play Neon White.
Is that the plan?
That's totally right.
Some Neon White?
I probably won't. I have downloaded a bunch of games on my. I mean, we could do a tournament bracket, but Persona 5 Royal is up there, my friend. I wanted to let you know that. I think that could happen. I've got a backlog like nobody's business.
Probably Sean's 6 months game is Persona 5 Royal because it's 130 hours to finish it.
I could be doing Resident Evil 4. I got that coming maybe from the library. That is on the list maybe from this year. Like, you know what I've been playing, and I don't want to put you on the spot too much here, but like, what have I missed? I don't feel bad about like not really playing every game this year. Like, I honestly don't. I don't know. I know everybody's excited by this year. I'm not trying to take anything away, but maybe I'm just in my own world. I don't feel bad at all.
No, nor should you, because you fell in love with old games again, Sean, and that's okay. Like,
I really did. I really did.
Because I think the two ones that I know you would like that you missed are Resident Evil, and Jedi Survivor is probably the other one. But also remember you and I were both kind of mixed on Fallen Order, but also Survivor apparently is way better. So like
Fallen Order just had the sliding, the sliding down the hills, man, out of control.
Yeah, but which is actually part of the reason why like July is probably the time I actually play Jedi Survivor, because I've keeping it on the back burner. I haven't touched it at all since it came out. So I think July is probably the time I finally play Jedi Survivor. And Dead Island 2 is another one I want to play next month as well. Both of those I think are the two games I want to go back to as far as games that came out this year. Because honestly, the Diablo 4 Season 1 starts in July, because I've kind of decided to put Diablo 4 down until season starts. Because when you in order to take advantage of the battle pass we all paid for, Sean, for Diablo 4, you have to make a brand new character when the season starts.
I know this is outraging a lot of people, so I'm hoping that maybe we can talk about that next week. I'd love for you to explain what is going on with all that, because I actually bought Diablo. I'd love to finish it, maybe. I think that'd probably be good.
That's probably good too. Like, I know I'm going to have to make a new character anyways in like a month, so I'm just going to wait until then to go back to that. So that's another one on my list. Otherwise, I'm going to be playing a bunch of old games. That's kind of my
I think I'm with you, man. Death's Door is on the list. I want to get back to Everspace, which is on PC, playing with my flight stick. And I'll put a call out again, Ryan, maybe one last time, because nobody picked me up on this last time I mentioned it. Fallout 76. I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to give it a shot, man. I've got a bunch of stuff on Game Pass PC just installed right here, ready to go. But Division 2, I could play some Division 2 with people, but
Sean, do we as the Xbox Drive get out there and make a play for Fallout 76? That we try it? You and I both try it at the same time?
What if we just do it? What if you and I just play it? That could be fun.
That's what I mean.
You can teach me how to do like MMO stuff.
I also feel like if Lockwith was here, Lockwith would be like, well, you could play Fallout 76, or you could make time to play Elder Scrolls Online instead. Because I saw Lockwith fall down the well with Elder Scrolls Online again. So there is
it could be anything. Maybe we'll do a stream. Now, Ryan, I know we have episode 300 coming up in July, but also in July, a month from today, June 28th, on July 28th, it's my birthday. I've already booked the day off work. We're going to be playing video games all day. Maybe play Fallout 76.
Maybe we will
ring in the new.
It'll be
year.
The perfect birthday present for Sean, Fallout 76.
Possibly.
It'll be like when they first announced that game and they celebrated with a cake and Pete Hines blowing out the candles. So that was the thing. Like, it was a birthday cake, but
sounds hot.
Exactly. Anyways, Sean.
Because a candle.
We're at the end of the show. We should probably wrap things up. But before we go, Sean, plugs go.
You can find me on the internet, specifically on Twitter at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. You can find me in Discord with the same name. Twitch.tv/Carpool Gaming Live is where I stream every once in a while. I think this Saturday we might be able to do it. And also, happy Canada Day to our Canadian brethren,
right? Our
brothers and sisters, our family here in Canada. We're celebrating independence or birthdays, or I don't really understand it.
But also before the next show, our American friends will also be celebrating 4th of July as well. So regardless of where y'all are, we hope everyone has a safe and fun, happy holiday weekend this weekend coming up.
Make sure to step away from the fireworks after you light them.
Yes. Helpful advice, Sean.
Yeah, just run away. Don't stand next to the fireworks, please, God.
Maybe, Sean, what we do is on Independence Day, Sean, I should fire up that old stream and stream the PS1 version of Independence Day.
I'm so happy you said that. Yes, Bill Paxton, best president in movies. No, not Bill Paxton, Bill Pullman. Bill Paxton was from True Lies and Aliens, and many other movies.
Game over,
Twister.
Man.
Yes, I miss him.
Yeah, me too. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turfer. You also find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, right here, youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, and of course, podcast services around the globe. So for Sean Capri, I am Ryan Turfer. This has been episode 297 of the Xbox Shop. Only 3 more episodes until 300, and we're out. Bye.
Ryan tried to make it sound like we don't have anything planned for episode 300, but we have so much planned for 300. You guys don't even know. It's going to take us so long to even try to explain. I'm going to end the episode now. Okay, bye-bye.
No power greater than X.